Good evening. Take two. Good evening with the mic on. Good evening, guys, and welcome to episode 3 of Visible Women on LinkedIn with me, Mildred Talabi. I love saying that. I feel like a TV host every time I say that. So I'm just going to say it again because I like the way it sounds. Good evening, and welcome to Visible Women on LinkedIn with me, Mildred Talabi. You are tuned in live on LinkedIn, or maybe live on Facebook, or maybe live on YouTube, or maybe you're watching on replay. Wherever you're tuned in today, it's so good to have you. And I am looking forward to another exciting conversation on this episode of Visible Women on LinkedIn with my awesome guest that I have in store for you today. So, if you are a regular here, you will know that I like to know who is present when we tune in. So, if you're here and you're watching, I want you to react to show that you're watching. So, either do a like or a love or a LinkedIn's reactions are limited actually. Don't do the curious face. Don't do that one because then I'll be wondering what you're curious about. But do one of the reactions just so I know who's here. It's kind of like a way to register and see who's here. But most importantly, I want you to drop a hello in the comments and let me know that you're present and let me know what part of the world you're tuning in from. Let me know what you had for dinner. I'm joking. Well, you can tell me if you want to. But good to see you, Sandra. Hey, Sandra. Sandra is in the house. Malachi is in the house. Literally in the house. I love it. Anytime is in the house. Anytime. What the conversation we're about to have tonight would not have been possible without Anytime because he's the one that connected me and my guest tonight. So I'm so glad you're in the house, Anytime, and I am looking forward to introducing you all to my awesome guest in just a few moments. Sandra, yes, I am a celebrity. Woo woo, in my own head, in my own house. For sure, I am in this house, yeah. Although I have to remind my kids and my husband that sometimes, yeah, But listen, this is Visible Women on LinkedIn. This is season 3. If you are not familiar with Visible Women on LinkedIn, the format of this show is that I have candid conversations, honest conversations with women who have been building their brands and their businesses using LinkedIn as one of the platforms that they do it. Now, why does it matter that it's on LinkedIn? Well, because that's what my job is. I'm a LinkedIn visibility coach. I help women build visible and profitable brands on LinkedIn. So I know the potential that this platform has to help build your business and your brand. And I love it when I see other women who are doing the same with their businesses. Now, some of the women we have on this show are former clients or current clients, like today's one's a former client. Can't wait for you to meet her. She is awesome. And then others are just women that I've connected with over LinkedIn, and I've just seen the incredible work that they do, and I wanted to bring them to you so we can hear the stories behind the people that you see on this platform, because each and every one of us has a story. We all have a story. And actually, that story needs to be heard. We all have a story that needs to be heard. But so many times we restrict ourselves, we don't share our stories like we should for whatever reason. But I am all about you becoming visible. Women becoming visible. Stop hiding. Start being visible. Start sharing your stories because that's how you are gonna serve your audience the best. So that's my little breach about this show, right? But tonight we are gonna have a conversation with a lady who has a story, but more than that, she also has an advice in her particular realm that she's going to be sharing with us tonight. So if you are new and this is your first time, this is episode 3 of 4. So the last one is actually next week. But if you go to mildredtalabi.com/visible women and you register, then you're going to be the first to know about when the episode is out and how you can sign in, and also the behind the scenes information. And it also gets you on my newsletter, which is a weekly LinkedIn newsletter where I share tips and resources on how you can build a visible and profitable brand on LinkedIn. So go to mildredtalabi.com/visible woman and put your details in there if that interests you. But okay, before I bring my guest on, I want to see who else is joining us this evening. And we have Tamika. Hi, Tamika from Chattanooga. Did I say that right? Chattanooga. And I think that is in the US somewhere, right? Please, my geography is not great, but I'm pretty sure that's in the US. If it's wrong, forgive me and delete this bit from the live, you know? So yes, good to see you, Elif. Did I say that right? Chris is in the house. We love some Chris Diazio in the house. Good to see you all. And I really, 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 I am excited. And I'm always excited, but I'm extra excited because I want to bring on to you my guest for today. Now, this awesome woman is her name is Stella Leaburn. I never actually asked if I say her surname right. I think it is Leaburn, but if it's not, okay, it's right. I got the two thumbs up backstage, right? So Stella Leaburn, she is an international recruiter, an independent executive search consultant, and a talent acquisition expert. What that essentially means is that everything to do with recruitment and getting you jobs, Stella's the lady for it. And today we're going to talk about her career. We're going to talk about some of the differences she's noticed in the way that men and women approach jobs. And we're going to talk about why and how we can ask for more in our work life. So this is going to be an exciting conversation. So Stella, please guys, help me to welcome Stella onto the virtual stage. Stella, hello.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hey, good to have you here, Stella. So good to have you. This conversation is long overdue. It is long overdue. I've been wanting to have this conversation with you for a while, but now's the right time. So I'm excited that we're about to have it.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, awesome, Stella. Stella, I want you to start Chattanooga. Yes, thank you, Tamika. I've been corrected. A leaf as an elephant. I'm the symbol of power and strength. Oh my God, what a name. I love it, Elif. Symbol of power and strength. I absolutely love it. Shanedra's in the house. Good to see you, Shanedra. But listen, Stella, I know I've introduced you, but I want to know, to kick us off with, in your own words, how do you describe what it is that you do exactly?
Right. I work in executive search. I predominantly work within the interim sector, which pretty much means short-term placements. Occasionally, I do work with for permanent placements as well, but predominantly my role is recruiting for short-term placements within organizations. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
Okay. So you recruit for short-term placements. All right.
Hmm.
How long have you been doing this?
Ooh. Let me see. In total, you could say almost 10 years. But obviously, I've sort of started, left, and then moved on to do other things, and now I'm back again. So in total, almost 10 years, just under 10 years.
Okay. We want to hear about that started, left, and moved on. So don't worry, I'll come to that. I'll come to that. But let's rewind because I have never met a kid, who's like 4, 5, or 6 and said, when I grow up, I'm going to be a recruitment consultant. So was that you, Stella? Was that little Stella?
Absolutely not me. It was never on the radar at all. Recruitment really came on the scene for me around 2004, 2005, thereabouts. And it was just one of those things that fell on your lap, so to speak. So it wasn't something that I went looking for that, oh, I wanted to do this. I just wanted to change from what I was doing before, because prior to that, I worked within the NHS for almost 7 years. So, it's a whole different world, public sector and going into the corporate sector. So yeah, for me, it was just, I needed to get away from the NHS, and this job came along and I took it. And so I went into recruitment, did it for a while, for about 4 years or so, and then left it, went on to do other things and a lot of other things in between. And then back again about 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, I came back to recruitment. I guess it was one of the jobs that I found that I actually quite enjoyed. Um, I loved it. It was just, it felt like home to me to go back to. compared to every other job that I've ever done. This felt right for me. So hence, I'm back.
Okay, okay, awesome. I want to know about those every other jobs. You know, I mean, what was your first job as a kid? Mine was, I think my first proper job. I did like a cleaning job. I lasted about 2 days. I was 16, and I was like, this is not life. You know. And so that was, and then I had a proper job at Greg's the Bakers, and I loved that. You know, all the cakes, all the pastries. Oh my God, it was heaven. So yeah. What was your first proper job that you remember?
My first proper job, and I do remember this, was at Boots the chemist. I worked on the pharmacy department as a dispenser. I actually trained within 6 months of starting with Boots. I trained, obviously, they had in house training, so I trained to become a pharmacy dispenser. So I am a qualified dispenser. I can dispense medicine, obviously, with a pharmacist present. So that was my first job. And I did that job from when I was about 16 until I was 19.
Okay, okay. So 16 to 19. So you're in Boots, you're loving it. And then did you go on to university? Did you do higher
I was
education?
at college. I was at college during all of that time. Obviously, at Boots, I was at college, and obviously studying, working part time at Boots, and of course, I had other side gigs as well. As I thought it was normal for people to have several side gigs. I didn't know it wasn't normal, but I did. Even at such a young age, I did. I was always, dabbling in one thing or another just to stay afloat.
Okay. And were they entrepreneurial side gigs or were they just bits of
Yeah,
jobs?
I guess they were, because what I would do, this is one of the things that I did, was I would buy cars, used cars,
Mm,
and resell them for a profit.
nice.
I did the thing with eBay. I would buy things, um, quite high end stuff I would buy. I had friends who worked in the big department stores, so I would get the stuff on ridiculous discount, and then I'll put it on eBay for some profit. So I did stuff like that, on and off, pretty much just to raise money, and sustain myself. Because I had been living alone from when I was 17 years old. I started living by myself. So it just felt like I needed to be doing these things to, you know, be able to pay my rent and, have a roof over my head.
Oh, wow. So you're entrepreneurial, but not by choice because you just thought that's what people do. You just got into it, you know? I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel like I had a choice. When I think about it now and I look at my own children, I mean, I've got a 21-year-old son at university. The thought of him ever going out there and doing any of the things that I did at his age. I mean, I was living alone at 17. My son's 21 years old at university. I mean, I literally had to say, I will pay your rent. Go and study away from home. He was just so loving the comfort of the home that I was like, I will pay for your accommodation. Just leave, go. It was almost as if, I mean, most people were saying to me, well, you're trying to get rid of you. So now I don't want him to be too comfortable at home because otherwise he won't go.
You kicked him out of the eagle's nest.
Well, COVID didn't help because he's back home now. He's at home online schooling with his dad waiting on him hand and foot. I'm like, seriously? But yeah, I can't imagine my son doing half the stuff that I have had to think of for myself without any guidance from anybody. I just took it on me that this is what I needed to do. These are the things I needed to do to make ends meet and just survive.
Mm. Wow, definitely impressive. That's what a lot of comments are saying, how impressive, you know. So Tamika asked a question. I'm going to come back to your question, Tamika. I did see the question about the roles that you recruit for Stella. But okay, but I want to know more about this. So you could have essentially gone down the entrepreneurial route with your life as opposed to the jobs route. Why did you choose the jobs route?
Um, Truthfully, I don't know. I thought it was what you do. You finish college, you get a job, and the whole idea was you get a good job after college, right? So I didn't think you could make a living doing what I was doing. I knew I was making some money, but it wasn't, I didn't think of it on a bigger scale. I could have done. And I know today a lot of people say to me, you could sell ice to an Eskimo. I always say to people, I don't like sales. I don't like selling. But they go, the things you've done, you say you don't like selling, but you've done this. You sold cars. Who knew to go buy, high-end goods in luxury stores and at discounts and then sell them on for a profit? And you say you don't like sales? I just didn't know that it was, I didn't know because I didn't have anyone to guide me in that respect. So am I a 17-year-old having to think of doing all these things by herself? I had no one, like literally no one, no mom in England, no dad. The relatives I had, obviously, I left the house when I was 17 because the environment wasn't conducive. So I left. And at the time I left, I actually had nowhere to go. I was one night away from sleeping in the park, and a friend came to my rescue. Spent a few nights at hers, and then another friend ultimately, well, she became a friend, but at the time she was my manager at Boots. She actually she wrote a check for me for the deposit for a bed sit for me to rent because I didn't have, I mean, I was 17 years old. I wasn't even on minimum wage at Boots at the time. But she wrote a check for me for the rent and some just to help me. And that I'm forever grateful to her, forever grateful.
Wow.
But I didn't know, what I was doing. All the little side gigs I was doing were things that people could do, on a bigger scale. I didn't know. I really didn't, because I didn't have the guidance.
Yeah.
For me, it was just a survival thing. I just needed to survive and to make sure that I didn't go back to the house that I left at 17. Because when I walked away from that house, I remember I was told, oh, you'll be back, you'll see. And I remember turning around at 17 with nowhere to go to sleep that night. And I say, I won't be back over my dead body. I walked away. And of course, walking to the bus stop, I thought, now what? Now what?
Wow.
All this gutsy talk, and you got nowhere to sleep.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a survival thing. I knew I had to survive. So I had to do whatever I had to do legally to survive. And that was all I did at the time. But of course, I know differently, and I wish I had kind of pushed and pursued these side gigs further.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's not too late. You can still flip cars, Stella. You can still.
Oh, believe me, I still have my side gigs. Don't worry about that. I got plenty going on. My kids are like, Mom, what exactly do you do? I'm like, good question.
I love it. I love it. That is awesome. Okay, so at 17, you had this like harsh awakening. You had to grow up quickly, basically. So, how did you pick up your life? How did your life go from then? From after that period of your life.
Okay, I mean, from doing all these other stuff, selling cars, selling high-end goods, I used to also cook for friends. And oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud on the web. Most people don't believe I even know how to put the cooker on. But I'm telling you now, I actually taught people how to cook.
Wow.
And I used to cook for them and got paid for it. Yeah, I was, it's some people will be like, whoa, she's been blindsiding us all these years. I know. But I did that. And then after college, working, and I got obviously a steady job when I was 21. I saved up obviously from all these side little things that I did. I saved up enough money to buy my first property when I was 21.
Wow.
And I didn't know again, another world, a new world to me. I didn't know anything about mortgages, what you have to do to, obtain one. My very good friend, again, I asked her, what do I do? Because I want a place of my own. And she advised me on what to do, how to save up. So I did. And at 21, I bought my first property. And of course,
is impressive.
yeah,
Is seriously impressive.
I bought my first home, because at that point I knew it was between me and the bank and not a landlord or anybody else, that had access to my space. I needed somewhere that was safe for me, and owning my own place was the only option I could think of. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, wow. So that's a lot of goals you're hitting from a young age immediately, own flat, everything. So was that the time you joined the NHS then? Because you said you got a steady job.
Right. At 21, I wasn't actually with the NHS at the time. I was with a computer company, sort of like an IT company. I worked with the IT help desk. Basically, the company, they supported all of the computer system for London Underground. So whenever the central line was down, and there are no trains going from the green line, I can't remember, district line, we knew about it. We were all about it. We probably caused some of the, disruptions on the underground back in the day. I'm not going to name the name of the company, but yes. And I was one of the people on the desk that allocated engineers. Geography is not my strong point. I heard you say earlier something about geography, and I'm like, yeah, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, because when you say Upminster, I'm thinking Westminster. I'm sending an engineer to Westminster, and the central line is down in Upminster, and the guys are like, "You're sending me to the wrong station." I'm like, "What's different? Westminster, Upminster, hey."
I'm guessing you didn't last long in that role.
No. No. I was there for about 18 months or so, and then I went on to have my son. So after I had my son, I took some time out, and then I started working again, and that's when I started working with the NHS. So I was in the NHS. I worked in the London Ambulance Service for about 3 years or 3.5 years, and then I moved on to the Primary Care Trust, and I was there again for another 3.5 years. And after that, I'd had enough of the NHS at that point. My son was old enough. He was independent. He could, speak, do things for himself. So I thought, okay, my brain is going to sleep here. I need to make a move to somewhere else and start getting some serious papering, You know me, I'm all about, I'm always thinking about the paper. It was like,
and we have to talk about the paper, because so many women don't talk about the paper. So we're definitely going to get to that, So,
absolutely. Yeah. It was just, I'm like, okay, 7 years, child, you're old enough, you know your name. If you walk down the street, you can find your way home. Excellent. Mama got to go out now and get some paper. And that's when obviously the recruitment came in.
Okay.
I think also for me at the time, it was, yes, at the time, all I was thinking about was making enough money to keep the roof over my son's head, over our heads, put food on the table, clothes on his back. Those were my motivation at the time. So hence I went with the money. And recruitment, when you're with a good firm, the money can be pretty good.
Yes. It's more than pretty good. I've heard there was a time I actually considered recruitment, and then I tried to set up my own recruitment company. Anyway, that's a long story. Yeah.
Oh, you gotta tell that sometime.
I've done a lot. But okay, so now you get into recruitment, and Tamika's question is relevant now. So now, am I saying that right? Tamikia, what are some of the jobs you recruit for? Is what Tamikia wants to know in your current role.
Okay. I predominantly recruit from director level upwards. Very, very rarely do I recruit for any roles below that. I recruit from director level, chief executives, just the C-suite, so to speak. Those are the people that I cater to.
Okay, is that because you got to that point in your career where you only want to specialize with that level of people, or is that just how it is?
Again, it's just because I started off from that level. That was all. I wouldn't say that wasn't all I knew, but I started off from that level, and I mean, it's like driving a Ferrari and then dropping it down to driving the Smoky Joe that I drive today. It is doable, but do you know what I mean? It's like you're driving a Ferrari, you like going at a certain speed, you want to maintain that momentum. So of course you're gonna get maybe not Ferrari, maybe an Aston Martin, or I don't know, the next, fast car to keep up with, do you know what I mean? The speed that you're used to. So hence I guess I stayed within the C-suite.
Yeah, of course. And that paper that you mentioned is more at that level, right?
You said it, I didn't say anything.
I love it. So let's talk about that, because some of the conversations we've had in the past is around some of the differences that you've noticed in the way that women approach jobs and the way that men approach jobs, because you're dealing with senior level positions, right? So talk to us about some of what you've noticed are the differences.
One thing that is crystal clear is if I had, say, as an example, I have a role and I contact various candidates that I would normally have conversations with. A male candidate would tell you, my day rate is 1,500, period. That's it. It's just 1,500, done. Woman will come on the phone and will say, for the same job, they have the same skills, experiences, and what have you. And she will say, oh, I would normally charge 900, but I could go lower. See, whenever I hear that, I just go, why? Why would you want to go lower? I've just had one person telling me it's 1,500, not for discussion, period. And there's someone else that I'm looking at both of their CVs and I'm thinking, you can do the same thing. And then from conversations, the woman has kids, she's got a husband, she's got a home to run. So she's bringing a lot more to the table, but she still dulls herself down and like, oh, I mean, that 900, I could go lower if it helps. That much is consistent. I mean, I had a conversation today because occasionally I do catch-ups with candidates that I've placed previously, just to see where they're at, what they're up to, just, checking in on them. And exactly the scenario I just played to you here right now, I had that with two candidates today. One that I know what he's about anyway. His rate is this and that's it. And I actually cheekily, I said to him, has your rate changed by any chance, considering the pandemic? He went, no. He was just like straight up on camera. He went, come on, Stella, are you asking me that kind of question? I went, I thought I'd ask. There's no harm in asking. While the other lady, the conversation was slightly different. It was, I wouldn't normally charge this, but because of the pandemic, I understand. And I'm like, wow, you're making explanation for a company that you don't even know, whether they can afford you or not. Whilst my guy, he just looked me square in the eye on camera and just
no blinking.
I just went, has your race changed? And he just looked at me and he went, you have to ask that? And he went, no. And I went, pandemic? He went, no. And I was like, okay, so that goes to show. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. There have been times when I know I could have pushed for more and asked for more, but sometimes out of fear of rejection, you play safe. Either you lower your rate, sort of like play small. You don't want to be seen as you're too pushy. Who do you think you are? You think you're something special. So as not to hear all of those things, you kind of just go, okay, I'll just ask for this little bit, and hopefully they'll give you that. Whilst a man won't think twice about it. Would just be like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And the thing is, and in fact, I am going to ask, because mainly women here, right? Put in the comments, say it's me, I can relate. If you've ever done this, if you've ever played small, if you've ever put out a number and then quickly backtracked, or just kind of like oohed and ahed over it. Because listen, I can put both hands up, And the worst part is when you do that, like let's say, even if in business and you put out a number, let's say how much is your speaking rate or whatever, you put out a number and then it's like a low number and they accept it easily, you kick yourself because you're like, that means that I could have gone much higher, but now it's too late. It's too late, So why do we do this, Stella? Why?
I don't know. I think some of it is from our childhood. When you're told as little girls, don't be too loud, be quiet, act this way, be this way. Ladies don't say this, ladies don't do this, ladies don't ask for too much. Don't be pushy, you're too bossy. The usual stuff that we're told all the time. Don't be this, don't be that. So of course, how dare you ask for more? You're not supposed to. You're a woman. I mean, I remember years ago, someone ridiculously took one look at me and thought, oh, you're pretty enough. You don't need to work. Just find a rich man.
Did you take off your earrings or roll up your sleeves?
I had to beg the street to hold me back. I had to beg the street, someone please hold me back. I've worked so hard to get to where I'm at. I know you can just swipe all that away and tell me, go, you're pretty enough. You can get a rich husband. Yeah.
That's terrible. That is terrible. And I love that you said, and yes, so many people, everybody in the comments, Kim, Frenzy, Chris, Tamika, everyone's like, yes, I can relate. Kim saying it's time to be disruptors. let's burn the bridges, Kim. Yes.
Don't encourage me.
I love it. But it kind of also relates to this whole thing about being visible, that I harp on about all the time, because part of that whole shrinking back, whether it's at work or in business, is that we don't want to be visible. It's like we're afraid of being noticed for whatever reason, So, how has that journey been for you in terms of really putting yourself out there?
Okay. I used to be one of the lurkers. I had my LinkedIn account from back in the 2000s because it's what you do for job purposes. It's a business platform. You don't talk about nothing else but work. So I registered, didn't do anything with it. But occasionally in the last few years, I would pop up, look and just go. Never commented on any post, never liked any post. I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know I was there. I was lurking. I was a lurker. I remember I told you, I stalked you. I cyber stalked you for a very, very long time. Oh my goodness, until obviously my cousin said, oh, there's this lady on LinkedIn, she's doing this. And I went, let me guess, her name won't be Mildred by any chance, would it? And he went, yeah, how do you know? I went, I've read all her posts, I follow her stuff. And, of course, after that conversation, I reached out to you. And since having worked with you, I've sort of had the confidence to come out of myself and out of my head more. Because one of the fears I had was, who'd want to hear anything I have to say? I don't have anything important to say. No one's going to read my stuff. No one cares about anything you have to say. You're no one important. You're not special. But you managed to help get me out of my head in that respect. I started posting, being more visible. And I guess the more I did that, the more engagement I got, the more confident I got. And you notice that, my conversations, I don't just comment on my posts. I kind of troll other people's posts as well. I put my post there. It's almost like walking in, putting your handbag down and like, right, bring me that bag. Oh, I like that bag. I like that bag. Yeah, I got something to say about, ooh, that design. Yeah, I then go out all day just trolling other people's posts. Not in a bad way, in a good way. Saying something constructive and good that resonates with me. And so yes, I've been more visible in that respect, confident wise. And I'm also having conversations with clients that want to work with me. And that's been quite an eye-opener, from maybe normally applying for roles. You don't have to do that when you're visible. I've found they come to you because they see the stuff you post, your engagement, what you're about. And, I've been having conversations with different industry leads and just asking, would you like to work with us? And of course, I look to see what the organization is about, if they align with what my values are. There are some potential clients that I might be collaborating with later on. So we're going through the terms at the moment. But yes, there's conversations going on with industry leads, industry leaders that I wouldn't otherwise have dared to reach out to because I just wouldn't dare. I mean, I recruited these people, yes, when I'm working, that's what I do. But the idea, the thought of taking the conversation away from just work related and placing them in a row, I would never have. I wouldn't have done. But I have, like I said, now, hey, bring it.
I love it. And the thing is, like, on your profile now, I've noticed the changes. I saw it. You put there truth talker as well as all your other descriptions, truth talker. Stella has been truly unleashed on LinkedIn. She's not holding back anymore.
I did tell you when you said, you need to be out there. There's a lot you have to say. And I'm like, I don't know if the world is ready for what I have to say. And you were like, you got plenty to say, girl. You need to start talking. And I'm like, I don't know if people are going to like it. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be brutally real. And a lot of all my posts that I post, they are subjects to do with stuff that I've experienced in the past and presently as well. So those are the things that I talk about, things that are happening in my world. They're what I talk about. So whatever you see in my post, if I'm talking about name calling or, playing small or, whatever it is, be rest assured there's a reason behind that post. There's a story behind that post. And of course, I post stuff to get other people's perspective, sometimes on certain subjects that I feel, I don't know how to deal with this. I want to see what other people think so I can, figure out how to deal with certain situations. So my posts are very personal to me. Mainly, obviously, if it's work related, yes, I talk about things that happen at work within my industry. If it's, receiving the 6-7 page CV, yeah, I talk about that. And when I'm talking about it, it means I've received a number of 6 pagers that, I'm optically challenged. So 6 pages, imagine if I have 50 CVs to go through, 6 pages each, I'll give up. Yeah. you
That's
know.
it.
So,
That's it.
and, I talk about those sort of subjects and things, and occasionally I would mention, give tips on what candidates could do to make our lives, recruiters' lives, a little bit easier.
Yes, I love it. And Carla says here, and it's so true, it's always better to speak on what we know. That's authentic. And that is it, isn't it? This is a lot of
Hmm.
people struggle to find what to talk about on LinkedIn, but like you're doing, when you really dig into the experiences that you have in life, the things you go through in your day to day, in your business, in your work, in your personal life, you're going to be on LinkedIn a long time talking about lots of stuff because there's lots to say. We all have a story. We all have something to say. So that is so
Absolutely.
awesome. Yeah.
Hmm.
There's a question that I saw. Again, it's Tamikia. So she says, I am fighting with my head daily as I lose weight and build several businesses. How did you get out of your own head?
Ooh, how did I get out of my head? Um, I've sort of learned to be grateful for the little things and the little steps, the little wins, because I'm sure in your journey at the moment, you've got wins, but you just don't see them. So you're just thinking about, oh, when I have this much or when I've lost this much weight. I'm sure you've done a lot along the way. You just don't see it, or we sometimes we're blinded to our wins, because I still do that sometimes. And the way I sort of bring myself back down to earth when I'm running ahead of myself, sort of like saying to myself, girl, you need to calm down. Okay. I remind myself of the 17-year-old girl that couldn't afford the deposit for a bed sit. And I tell myself today, you can walk into Harrods and you buy those overpriced shoes that you buy. Yes, I do. I do. Judge me, please.
I am so judging you. I knew you were overpriced sheep buyer from Harrods.
you know, I can walk into Harrods and pay twice as much, for a pair of shoes than what that rent the 17-year-old wanted then. When you think about it, it's like, God, I've come a long way. Not in a million years would I have thought I'd walk into Harrods and pay some ridiculous amount for a pair of shoes. But I can today. So when I start thinking to myself, oh, you've not achieved anything, or you've not done enough, you need to do this, you still have this to do and that to do, I bring myself back down to earth and say, no, you've done plenty. You've achieved more than you even thought you could achieve. Why? Think about it. That girl and this woman today, two different. If someone had told me, 17-year-old me, that this woman would be here today, I wouldn't have believed it. I would be doing what I do today, I wouldn't believe it. But to get out of your head, just think about the little things that you do. You're making moves. As long as you're moving towards your goal, that is plenty. That's better than the person that's not doing anything. You're doing plenty. The fact that you're moving, okay, I'll give you an example. I'm a very small human being. I'm very close to the ground.
How tall are you?
Hey, we'll talk about my personality. My personality is 7 foot tall.
Okay,
Stella, on the
what's
other
your
hand,
meters, right? What we're dealing with here? 4 foot?
Stella, on the other hand, is just under 5'2".
Really? You
My
look
12-year-old.
tall.
It's the personality you're getting. So I'm creating an image in your head of me.
Yeah.
When I meet people, they always go, "Gosh, you're so tiny." I'm like, "What did you expect?" They were like, "I don't know, expecting this lioness, this elephant, just,
Honestly, yeah. That's
like."
how I thought you were tall. But you're just a bit smaller than me. Wow.
My daughter, she's 12 years old and she's 5'4", 5'5". She's taller than me. And she loves to tell me about it. And I just like, yeah, whatever. So it's just, I mean, what analogy I was going to make with that was as short as my legs are, as long as I keep moving, I may not move as quickly as a 6-footer, but I'm still moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than the person that's not moving at all. So
Mm-hmm.
you're working towards something. Stay focused. Just stay focused on the goal. That's something that I'm known for. Even my son told me recently. He said, "Mom, you are that person that when you have something in your mind, if you're determined to do something, nothing stands in your way." I went, really? Why? How? Anyway, Mom, there is nothing you've ever said you're going to do that you don't do and you don't achieve. You just stay focused. You don't let nothing distract you. I get tunnel visioned. And it's like whatever else is going on around, it's like, yes, okay, we're good. Yeah. I'm all about that. The destination. It's like, yeah, the journey and stuff going on, I can deal with those, but I don't lose focus.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to stay focused. Keep moving and stay focused.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. Absolutely love that. So many nuggets you're dropping here. So, Sandra says, you got wings, you just don't see them. I love this. Absolutely. It's so true. You make progress without knowing you've made progress, says Kate. Yes, it's really, really great. And this lovely one from Gilda, Stella, you present such a lovely aura about your authenticity and care. Your clients are fortunate. I love that. I am seriously shocked still, Stella, that you're not like at least 5'11".
No, I wear heels all the time, just so you know. I wear, like 4-inch heels, okay? And even then, I'm still, yeah. I try to keep up with my personality, but my personality is just way over there, up there somewhere. And yeah, there's
I love
little
it.
old me and there's the personality. That's what people tend to get a lot of the time. Even clients and candidates, when they meet me, I could see it on their faces. They look like, oh. I'm like, well, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of expected you to be, I'm like, what? Taller?
Just the elephant in the room. Why not? I
You know
love
what to
it.
say
I
about
love
little people. So, yeah.
it. I love it. Stella, I want to take the conversation back again to women at work. In the
Okay.
last kind of moments that we've got, I think I mentioned to you previously. I've got this book here. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's called "Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office," and it says the subtitle is "Unconscious Mistakes Women Make That Sabotage Their Careers," and it's by Louise P. Frankel. I've had the privilege of interviewing her on my former podcast many years ago, So, but if you've heard of this book before, I'd love you to drop it in the comments. But this is a great book because in this book, she talks about the unconscious mistakes that women make, that sabotage their career. And obviously, you're involved in a career field and you've seen women go through a lot of this stuff. I read this book first time when I was, I think I was about turning 30, and I was actually invited to be a panelist for South Bank Women of the World Festival where we discussed this book, and back then I had a career coaching business, and I read this and it really convicted me that I just felt like I failed in my career because there were so many mistakes that she calls them in here that I'd made in my career, and I know lots of women make. So I just want to touch on a few of them and get your feedback in terms of whether you've seen this happen and what the solution is. So Catherine's read it. She said it's a great book full of practical tips. So I think the very first mistake that she talks about in this book, mistake number one, is this. She says it's pretending it isn't a game, right? It being work. The workplace is exactly that, a game. It has rules, boundaries, winners and losers. Women tend to approach work more like an event, a picnic, a concert, a fundraiser, where everyone comes together for the day to play together nicely. In our desire to create win-win situations, we unknowingly create win-lose ones where we're the losers. So Talk to me about this. Have you noticed this about women don't realize that work is a game? And do you agree that work is a game that we play?
Now I know work is a game. I don't know, maybe I did know from maybe my mid 20s. From my mid 20s, because I worked in HR. When I was in the ambulance service, I worked in HR. And I noticed a lot of stuff about, how things were done. And I, I noticed that some people were strategic in their moves. Someone comes in today, all of a sudden, he's a station manager, he's a district manager. And I'm thinking, how, what? And one thing I noticed was when these people came in, they would, sign up for different courses, training courses, sort of like get them to have the skills, I guess, they needed for the next role. And I started noticing that about people. I'm like, oh my God, is that what you do? I thought you go to this training just because. And seeing that time and time again, I thought, oh, this is a game changer. I need to start signing me up for some courses too. So I started doing that as well, just to keep up with the game. I mean, I've gone on courses that I have no clue why I was there, but at the time, it was towards a goal and a position, but I ended up not even going for the role. But I've had the training, which was great. It was good to have on my CV, which helped, I guess, for when I applied to, an external organization. And you could see, I mean, my CV is so varied, so varied. I've done retail. I've worked in IT. I've worked in HR. And of course, those are things that you will see on my CV. We're not going to talk about, obviously, all the other side gigs. I used to own a Italian leather shoe and handbag store as well.
Wow. Wow. Of course you did, Stella.
For those of you who knew me when I used to be on Facebook, I used to see me traveling to Milan, Florence, and stuff like that. Yep. That was one of the gigs, buying shoes and handbags, okay? So, it's just, I noticed that people did that. People were strategic, and there were some people that weren't. So when they applied for roles, they didn't get them. And after a while, I would, have conversations with some of these, the candidates that didn't make the role, and just say to them, if you want to get it next time, do this training, do that training, and then reapply. And see the difference. I mean, I used to be that too. I just thought we're going to work, you earn a living, long enough, your boss will appreciate what you do, they'll promote you. No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and funnily enough, that is actually another mistake. And I think we've only got time for this other mistake that there's so many mistakes that she outlines in the book about working hard. That's mistake number 3. That women in particular, so there's a popular saying, she says, women have to work twice as hard to be considered half as good. As a result, women are like little ants, working. They complain that they do more than everyone else, and they do. It's a myth that people get ahead because they work hard. The truth is no one ever got promoted purely because of hard work. So that's kind of like what you're saying now, isn't it? So it's like, it's not hard work alone.
I used to think, if I worked really hard, my bosses will see how hardworking I am. I remember when I first started in recruitment, I would be in the office from 7 a.m., didn't leave the office till 9 p.m. You would think my boss would appreciate that. It was the day I went to ask, can I work one day from home? And they said no. I thought, wow, really? Okay. On that basis, I'm like, you clearly don't see what I bring to the table. You clearly don't appreciate what I bring to the table. I'm going to take all of this goodness and all of me, and I'm going to go give it somewhere else. And I left. If you expect because you're working so hard, you're staying so late, and I see people who stay late because their bosses are there, they think it makes them look good.
It doesn't.
Skill up. I say skill up. Go, get some training, in line with the position that you're looking to apply to or want to be promoted to. Scale up. Just, do some training along those lines, or get a mentor, someone to mentor you, to guide you towards that direction. I saw a lot of that over the years, people doing that. And I felt like, had I known this, I don't even know where I'll be today.
That's it, and I'm sure that's a lot for many of us. Even now, we're in our own business. Oh, that's another show altogether about the mistakes that women make in business. We got to get that show up somewhere. But listen, in the last few seconds, so Sandra says work smart and not hard. Absolutely, but Carla has a good question, and then I think we're going to close off on that because I cannot believe the hour has gone so quickly. But she says, so how can parents and teachers help girls to enter the workplace with more awareness?
Okay. As a parent, obviously I've got a daughter as well. The things that I do, my daughter is very different to me anyway. She's more like her father, nothing like me at all. Oh God. Which is great, but she's very, very smart. Very smart. You as a parent, you see, you know what your kids are capable of doing. From a very young age what they came. I knew that girl. She was super smart from when she was little. The things she would do, the books she could read. I thought, whoa, okay, I need to capitalize on this, And I'm like, when I say things in Yoruba, she would repeat them and say very well. I thought, oh, we like languages. Okay, I'm gonna play with this. And obviously, I don't know if most of you know, but I currently live in Germany. And I have my daughter over, and she goes to a German school where obviously, well, we're in Germany, of course it's a German school. She is fluent in German. She is super smart. And I guess also I wanted her to see herself in me. What when I do things and she can see my mom can do this, it gives her the confidence that she can. If my mom challenges or pushes boundaries, she feels she's able to push boundaries. If you don't see these things around you as a child, it's hard for you to imagine yourself ever being able to do certain things. So, I would say as parents and teachers, encourage them. Encourage them. I never had that, and I always wanted to be everything that I didn't have growing up. I wanted to be that to my children, to young girls out there, my nieces, my cousins. I wanted to be everything that I never had, but wish I had. So just be that to your children. Be what you want them to be. If speaking up. If you don't speak up, your kids will feel they can't speak up. My children, my son is on another level. He's very me, but a male version. The fact that part is not me.
I love that, Stella. That is such great advice, and I think that goes beyond that because literally 30 seconds because we're at the time now. But I think it also goes beyond parents and teachers as well. And if we're talking about women as a whole, this is why we have a responsibility to be visible. This is why we have a responsibility to use your voice, to share your message, to put it out, to tell your truth out there, because someone somewhere needs to hear that. There's a kid, there's a young person, there's an older woman, that needs to hear it. So yeah, I think that's such a great point that, basically we have to model what we want to see in society in a certain way, So that is absolutely Stella. Oh my gosh, we honestly could go on for so long. There is just so much more we can talk about on this subject. So I'm gonna respect the time and I'm gonna let people go. But what is one last thing before you go? Kind of what does the future hold for Stella? And then also tell us how we can plug into what you're doing and connect with you.
Okay. One of my passion that I've found out over the last few years is basically empowering young women, older women, everybody really. I found that I have this passion to motivate people from my story, because to look at me on the outside, people just think, oh yeah, she's got it all, she's got everything. Maybe she was born with a silver spoon. Far from it, far from it. So it's nice to be able to speak your truth, and let people know that just because you find me in a position of privilege today, my journey there wasn't smooth sailing. So if yours is going up, down, and deep and out and any which way, I've been there. If you don't have someone to talk to guide you, you can talk to me. I'll always listen. If I can't help, most likely I know somebody who can help you. So I always want to be that, voice for the voiceless, so to speak. And so I was hoping being visible on LinkedIn will sort of I was hoping to use it as a springboard into public speaking. And I've been working on that with a coach, a fabulous coach. Can I say who the coach is?
Of course you can. She is here and she is fabulous.
Yes, she is. Miss Kim Bordro Smith.
Yes.
So we've been working on my public speaking and, getting my story out there and getting my truth. There's a lot more, 17 years old, and I like to say I'm 25 years old. My son will beg to differ, but, we're going to go with a 25. 17, 25-year-old Stella. There's a lot that's happened in there. Even before 17, there's a lot of stories in there that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. And most people don't see when they look at me. They look at me and they see the picture perfect work that I've done to get to this point. That's all people see. And I want people to see the other layers of me. And, to not judge people based on what they see or assume someone's journey to a certain destination was as smooth sailing as it looks or as easy as it looks, because it wasn't.
I love that. I love that. I love it, love it, love it, Stella. Oh my God. And your speaking career is going to be fire. Absolutely. It's absolutely going to be. So, listen, our time is up. Ladies and gents tuning in, please do go ahead and connect with Stella on LinkedIn. As she said, she is super approachable. Just let her know you heard her on Visible Woman, and I know from the comments, Stella, that people have been inspired. We have been inspired by your story, by your message, by your wisdom. So thank you so much for giving up your time this evening and sharing with us. It's been awesome having you.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, ladies, gentlemen, for sticking around for an hour and listening to me. I really appreciate it. And thank you very much, Mildred. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Stella. We will catch up later. I'm going to sign up, but we'll see you later. Take care now, Stella. All right. Bye-bye. Okay, wow. We're just a little bit over time, but oh my God, how amazing is Stella? She is so fabulous. And you have only just started to see Stella. I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot more from this lady. She's got what she's one to watch. Her story is amazing. There's so much more else that she's got going on. So connect with her, plug into what she's doing, because she is fantastic. But you guys are also fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for participating. And please drop your takeaways in the comments as usual, your key takeaways, because I love to pull on those when I do my summaries on Friday. But I thank you so much for spending your hour and a little bit more with us this evening. And please connect with Stella. If we're not connected, connect with me. You can find me, Mildred Talabi. And then tune in next Thursday is our final episode for this season of Visible Woman of season 3. It used to be 6. We'll cut it down to 4, but for this season, the final episode next Thursday, 6 o'clock BST, same place, same time. I would love to see you back here. But for now, I'm going to love you and leave you. And thank you for joining us for a great and inspirational evening. Have a good night. And remember, keep being visible. If you haven't started, start being visible. Take care, and I'll see you next Thursday.